Hello, class. Good morning, everyone. My topic for today is consumer attention and comprehension. This is your Professor Rodel Mendoza. So, interpretation class, no? We have actually different important aspects of cognitive systems that we have discussed last time, and certainly this cognitive system influence how consumer interpret information. And one of this is interpretation. Okay, so interpretation involves interaction between knowledge and memory and information from the environment. So the incoming environmental information activates relevant knowledge in memory, and the incoming environmental information, which can either be schema or script knowledge structures. So class, this activated knowledge actually influences which information consumers attend to and how they comprehend its meaning. Because of their cognitive systems, they have limited capacity, and consumers can consciously attend to or comprehend only small amounts of information at a time. So much attention and comprehension actually comprehension processing occurs quickly and automatically with little or no conscious awareness. Now, example, no, yung mga simple interpretation natin such as recognizing a familiar product like Coca-Cola bottle, di ba? It occur automatically and virtually instantly upon exposure. So without any conscious awareness of the comprehension process. This automatic processing has the obvious advantage of keeping our limited cognitive capacity free for unfamiliar interpretation, a familiar interpretation task, no, that do require conscious thought. Okay, so exposure to information class, although not part in cognition in a strict sense, exposure to information is critical for consumers' interpretation processes, and no exposure, no interpretation. And actually, consumers are exposed now to information in the environment, including marketing strategies, primarily through their own behaviors. And thus, we can distinguish between two types of exposure to marketing information. We have purposive or intentional exposure and random or accidental exposure. And consumers are exposed now to some marketing information because of their own intentional goal-directed search behavior. So typically, consumers search for relevant marketing information to help solve a purchasing problem. Like before buying a camera, di ba? For instance, a consumer might read product evaluations of digital cameras in consumer reports or photography magazines, o kaya sa mga internet sites, no, for possible blog of a certain product. Another consumer might ask a friend o kaya a salesperson for advice, no, about which brand or earphones to buy, no, for her portable MP3 player. So most investigations of consumers' search behavior have found rather low levels of intentional exposure, no, to marketing information. Before making a purchase, most consumer visit only one or two retail stores, no, and consult very few salesperson and external sources of information. So this limited search may be surprising until you realize that most consumers already have substantial product knowledge, meanings, and beliefs, no, stored in their memories. So if they feel confident in their existing knowledge, or if they feel a little involvement, no, with the decision, like so low self relevance, no, Like consumer have little motivation to engage in an extensive search for information. So marketing information plus is everywhere in the consumer-oriented environment of most industrialized countries. No? Advertisements for products and services are found in magazines and newspapers, o kaya sa mga radio and televisions, especially in the internet, no? And mga bus placards, di ba? And bus stop shelters, they are increasing. Billboards, no? And signs promoting products, mga services and retail stores are found along most highways. So, stores contain a great deal of marketing information, including signs, yung mga point of purchase displays, and advertisements, no? In addition to information on packages. So consumers also receive product information from friends and relatives, from salesperson, and occasionally even from strangers. Of course, the internet is a huge source of marketing information. Diba? So selective exposure to information classes, the amount of marketing information in the environment increases. So consumers become more adept at avoiding exposures. Now, some consumers intentionally avoid reading products, test reports, or talking with salespeople. So, or consumers do not maintain accidental exposures to marketing information. Kasi some people automatically throw away most junk mail unopened. Diba? So such behaviors result in selective exposure to marketing information. So consider the problem marketers are having with consumers, no selective exposure to TV commercials. No, like kunyari, college students no observe family members watching TV. Only 47% of viewers no watch all or almost all of the ads that appeared on the different television sites or television channels. And about 10% now left the room when the ads came on. So current technology enables consumers to easily control which ads they see on TV. So thanks to remote control, viewers can turn off the sound or surf from one station to another during a commercial break. Consumers who have yung mga similar recorders can simply pass forward past commercials or tape programs. So in response, some advertisers are placing ads at the bottom of the screen during the program to reduce viewers' ability to avoid exposure. So what's the marketing implications of that? So because of the crucial importance class of exposure, marketers should develop specific strategies to enhance profitability that consumers will be exposed to their information and products. So there are 3 ways to do this. We have facilitate intentional exposure, o kaya yung maximize accidental exposure, o kaya yung maintain exposure. So in cases where consumers' exposure to marketing information is the result of an intentional search, marketers should facilitate intentional exposure by making sure appropriate marketing information is available when and where consumers want it. Now, example niyan to increase sales, yung mga International Business Machines Corporation trains its retail people to answer consumers' technical questions on the spot, so they don't have to wait while salesperson look up the answer. So, yung mga consumer search for consumers should be made as easy as possible. These strategies should meet them. Some lumber companies cater to the novice, do-it-yourself market by providing instructional brochures and in-store seminars on various billings techniques, such as how to build a masonry wall, o kaya yung mga mag-install ka ng storm door, o kaya mag-put ka ng mga relevant product information on the internet. Certainly facilitate intentional exposure for some consumers. So marketers should try to place their information in the environmental setting that maximizes accidental exposure. to the appropriate target groups of consumers. Ang mga certain types of retail outlets such as a convenience store, ice cream shops, o kaya mga fast food restaurant, no, should be placed in locations where accidental exposure is high. So, yung mga high traffic locations, no, such yung mga mall, di ba? Busy intersections and downtown locations are prime spots. Di ba? So, those are marketing implications, class, that would result to the maintaining exposures to consumers. Pwede yung mga most media strategies, no, intended to maximize accidental exposures, no, to a firm's advertisement, no. There's a lot more. Marketers place ads, no, in the environment to maximize the chances of accidental exposure as well. Okay. Next po, we have attention processes. So once consumers are exposed to marketing information, whether accidentally or through their own intentional behaviors, the interpretation processes of attention and comprehension begin. So, yung mga levels of attention and factors affecting attention and describe marketing strategies, no, can influence consumers' attention. So what does it mean for a consumer to attend to a marketing stimulus, no, such as newspaper ad o kaya mag-display ng ad sa store, no? Attention actually implies selectivity. No, attending to certain information, no, involves selecting it, no, from a large set of information and ignoring other information. So consider the cognitive processes, example, no, of shoppers in a crowded, noisy environment store, no. They must selectively attend, no, to conversation with salesperson, attend to certain products and brands, read labels and signs, and so on. So at the same time, they must ignore other stimuli in the environment. So yung selective attention, class, is highly influenced, no, by the consumer goals as they are activated in the situation. So attention also connotes awareness and consciousness. To attend to a stimulus usually means being conscious of it. Diba? Attention also suggests intensity and arousal. So consumers must be somewhat alert, no, when aroused to continuously attend to something, and their level of alertness should influence how intensively they process the information. So if you have ever tried to study when you were very tired, for example, do you know the importance of arousal? If your level of arousal is very low, you might drift off to sleep while trying to read the text chapter. So when arousal is low, attention and comprehension suffer. So variations in attention, class. Attention processes vary along a continuum from a highly automatic, unconscious level called pre-conscious attention, no, to a controlled, conscious level called focal attention. So as a consumer's interpretation processes, no, shift from pre-conscious attention toward focal attention, greater cognitive capacity is needed. And the consumers gradually becomes more conscious, no, of paying attention to a stimulus. At a focal level, attention is largely controlled by consumers who decide which stimuli to attend to and comprehend based on what goals are activated. So as attention processes reach focal levels, yung comprehension lang, no, begins to involve, no, sense-making processes for constructing meaning. Na sasummarize sila yung mga differences in levels of attention. So kunyari, meron kang pre-conscious attention na uses activated knowledge from long-term memory. Ang focal attention mo is uses activated knowledge from long-term memory. No? No conscious awareness ang pre-conscious attention mo. Pagdating sa focal attention, meron ka ng conscious awareness. No? Ang pre-conscious attention mo is automatic process. Pagdating sa focal attention, controlled na yung process mo. And If you have preconscious attention, like use little or no cognitive capacity, pagdating sa focal attention, you might use some cognitive capacity. No? So, preconscious attention mo is more likely for familiar, no, frequently encountered concepts, no, with well-learned memory representations. Ang focal attention mo nun is you are more likely for novel, unusual, intentional, um, unusual, infrequently encountered concept, no, without well-learned memory representations. So like you, if you have preconscious attention, like you are more likely for concepts or of low, no, to moderate importance of involvement. Your focal attention could be more likely for concepts or high importance of involvement. So most researchers kasi no assume that consumers' cognitive systems respond to all stimuli that receive some level of attention, whether preconscious o kaya focal. Ang affective responses also respond to attend stimuli, whether conscious or not. Pag sinabi mong affective responses can range from simple evaluation like good or bad to strong feelings like disgusting to emotions like joy or anger. No? So as interpretation processes move toward focal levels of attention, affective responses usually become more intense and consumers become more conscious of their affective states. All right? So factors influencing attention class, like yung affective states, many factors can influence actually consumers' attention no, to marketing information. So pwedeng consumers' general affective state, pwedeng consumers' involvement with the information, o kaya yung mga prominence of the information in the environment. So yun, para sa ano, to try to increase the consumer's attention of marketing information by influencing their involvement and by making the information more prominent. Sa affective state class, consumer affective arousal can influence no, their attention processes. No, low arousal reduces the amount and intensity of attention. So in contrast, a state of high affective arousal is thought to narrow consumers' focus of attention and make attention more selective. Kasi some affective state that are responsive no, to specific stimuli or situations are considered part of involvement. And these something to do with affective states, no, such as moods that can diffuse the general and not related to any particular stimulus. Itong mga affective state na to class can influence attention. No, kunyari, consumers who are in bad or good mood are more likely to notice negative or positive aspect of the environment. Diba? Another example concerns whether consumers' general affective responses to happy and sad TV programs can influence their cognitive reactions to the TV commercials shown on those programs. So, involvement tayo. The level of involvement a consumer feels is determined by the means and change from memory, which we have, I think we have discussed this last time. No? Related affective responses o kaya yung mga arousal level. Kasi yung involvement class is a motivational state. Bakit siya tinawag na motivational state? Kasi nga, it is a state no, that guides the selection of stimuli for focal attention no, and comprehension. Kunyari, yung consumers who experiences high involvement because of an intense need tend to focus their attention on marketing stimuli that are relevant to their needs. No? People who find, for example, photography no, to be intrinsically self-relevant no, are more likely to notice and attend to ads for photo products. No? Who wants to be a photographer here? No, or the situational self-relevance, so actively considering the purchase no, of a new refrigerator. No? Kasi nag-influence ang consumer na manotice siya no, and attend to ads and sales announcement for refrigerators. Okay. Next, yung mga environmental prominence naman. The stimuli associated with marketing strategies can influence attention. However, not every marketing stimulus is equally likely to activate relevant knowledge structures, receive attention, and be comprehended. Kasi, yung most prominent marketing stimuli are most likely to attract attention. Now, yung mga marketers usually try to make their stimuli prominent features in the environment. Yung mga example, some wine companies have created bright blue bottles of, or kaya yung mga distinctive names, or unusual colorful labels to attract consumers' attention in the store. So to capture consumers' attention, some radio and TV commercials are slightly louder than surrounding program material. And yung mga smells of baking products are exhausted from bakeries. Yung mga sidewalks, di ba? Kaya sa mga mall, di ba? It describes how large balloons can influence attention and generate increased sales with the use of environmental products. Extrinsic self-relevance, marketers have developed many strategies to gain or maintain consumers' attention to their marketing information. So basically, yung mga strategies na to involve increasing consumers' involvement with the marketing information and are making the marketing information more prominent in the environment. Na nag-i-influence sa involvement na nagre-require ng attention to intrinsic and situational self-relevance. So marketers have little ability to influence consumers, intrinsic self-relevance for a product. Therefore, the usual approach is to understand why consumers find the product to be self-relevant. Una, marketers should identify through research or guessing yung mga product consequences and values consumer considers most important. And then marketers should design strategies that will activate those meanings and link them to the product. So the involvement thus produced should motivate consumers to attend this information. Mag-i-interpret ka ng more fully and accurate. Example, yung mga marketers ng antiperspirant, diba? Usually emphasizes quality sa stop odor, stops wetness, This could be rational and fairly tangible functional consequences of using the product. Kasi yung mga marketers sure that deodorant, however identified to more self-relevance and emotionally motivating consequences of using their product, Social confidence kasi, they're trying to avoid embarrassment. So in a long-running campaign, they communicated the psychosocial consequences with raise your hand, for example. Raise your hand if you're sure. In ads that showed countless consumers in social situations raising their arms and not being embarrassed by damp spots on their clothing, especially in social media. Ang dami na. So consumers' clothing and shoes are intrinsically relevant also. The low prices also make purchases situationally self-relevant, especially during pandemic. So what does it mean by situational self-relevance, class? So all marketing strategies involve creating or modifying aspects of consumer environments. And some of these environmental stimuli may act as situational sources of self-relevance. A temporary association between the product and important self-relevant consequences. Kasi class, yung mga situational self-relevance, nag-generate sila ng higher levels of involvement and motivation to attend to marketing information. Silang This marketing information might generate feelings of excitement, no, and perceptions of interest and personal relevance, no, with the details of the product. The resulting involvement could motivate consumers to maintain exposure and focus their attention on the marketing offer or magazine subscription that accompany the sweepstakes, for example, announcement. No? So marketers attempt to influence the prominence of their marketing information by designing like bright and colorful and unusual packages, no? Developing novel advertising executions, no? Or setting unique prices, no? Because they must attract the attention of consumers, no? Hurrying, no? And to have high attention value. Maglalagay sila ng mga pictures ng celebrities, ng babies, o kaya ng mga dogs, no, or pictures that using old standby to make it attractive, seductively clothed models, no, figure representation of sex, di ba? Yung mga vivid pictorial images can attract consumers' attention and help focus it on the product. Kunyari, Nike, di ba? Na ginagawa nila, they place powerful graphic portrayals of athletes, di ba, wearing Nike clothes and shoes. Sa mga billboards, yung mga window displays in retail stores, no, attract the attention as well. Yung mga subsequent interests of consumers, no, who happen to pass by. Okay, so many stores, no, use creative lighting to emphasize selected merchandise. And eventually attract and focus consumers' attention on their products. Kaya nga iba gumagamit ng mga mirrors, no, in using clothing shops and hair salons to focus consumers' attention on their appearance. Okay, next, comprehension class. It refers to the interpretation processes by which consumers understand, no, or make sense of their behaviors, relevant aspects of their environment. Variations of comprehension, no, yung mga factors that influences comprehension. During comprehension kasi, yung consumers construct meanings, nagpo-form sila ng knowledge structures na that represent relevant concepts. Yung mga relevant objects or behaviors, even events, no, sa mga buhay nila. So as consumer focus their attention on specific environmental stimuli, yung mga tinatawag nating salient knowledge structures, schemas o kaya yung mga scripts are activated from long-term memory. So this knowledge provides a mental framework that guides indirect comprehension processing. Thus yung mga new information sa environment is interpreted in terms of one's processing or one's old knowledge activated from memory. So through cognitive learning processes, yung mga accretion or tuning natin, tinatawag natin structuring, these newly constructed meanings are incorporated into existing knowledge structures in memory. And yung mga occasions, so modified knowledge structures are activated and they will influence the interpretation of new information. No? And so comprehension process continues. So, pag sinabi nating variations in comprehension, pwede siyang maging no? Very important ways. So, comprehension may be automatic or controlled. It may be produce more concrete or more abstract meanings. It may produce few or many meanings, o kaya yung creation ng weaker or stronger memories. So like attention, no, most simple comprehension processes tend to be unconscious and automatic. Example class, no, yung mga consumers around the world gumagamit ng Coca-Cola, no, o kaya McDonald's restaurants, no, yung mga multinational companies. No? The direct recognition of familiar products is a simple comprehension process in which exposure for a familiar object automatically activates its relevant meanings from memory. So maybe yung mga name and other associated knowledge. So comprehending less familiar stimuli usually requires more conscious thought, no, and control, because consumers do not have well-developed knowledge, no, and yung mga structures for unfamiliar objects and events. So pwede rin yung mga exposures to completely unfamiliar stimuli, no, likely to activate knowledge structures, no, that are only partially relevant. And consumers subconsciously construct the meanings of such information. Pwedeng intentional o kaya they might ignore it. No? Comprehension is likely to be highly conscious and controlled, and interpretations may be difficult and uncertain. Next level of comprehension, the specific meanings that consumer construct to represent products and other marketing information in the environment depend on the level of comprehension that occurs during interpretation. Of course, comprehension can vary along continuum from shallow to deep. Shallow comprehensions, no, produces meanings at a concrete, tangible level. Example, yung mga consumer na nag-i-interpret ng product in terms of product attributes, no? Kunyari, yung sapatos maitim, size 10, made of leather o kaya synthetic fiber, no? So, yung mga deep comprehension nagpo-produce more abstract meanings, no, na represent ng less tangible o kaya more subjective and more symbolic concepts. Yung mga deep comprehension of product information, no, nagke-create ng meanings for functional consequences ng product use, no, or mga psychosocial and value consequences, no, from means and change, no, perspective. So deeper comprehension processes generate product-related meanings. Consider natin self-relevant, no, comprehension process, no, that produce meanings about product attributes. Next, elaboration, memorability, and inferences. Comprehension process also vary in their extensiveness or elaborations. No? Yung mga degree of elaboration natin during comprehension, nagde-determine siya ng amount of knowledge or the number of meanings produced, as well as the complexity of the interconnections, no, between those meanings. Less elaborate comprehension, pag nagpo-produce siya ng relatively few meanings na nagre-require siya ng little cognitive effort. Mga conscious control, no, and cognitive capacity. More elaborate comprehension requires a greater cognitive capacity effort din and control the thought processes. Kasi yung more elaborate comprehension produces a greater number of meanings that tend to be organized as more complex knowledge, structures, schemas, or scripts. No? Pag sinabi mo namang memorability, both the level and elaboration of comprehension processes influences consumers' ability, no, to remember the meanings created, no, during comprehension. So deeper comprehension creates more abstract, more self-relevant meanings that tend to be remembered better, no? Higher levels of recall and recognition, yung pagdating sa memorability, than the more concrete meanings, no, created by shallow comprehension processes. The more na elaborate siya, yung comprehension mo, it creates greater numbers of meanings that tend, no, to be well interconnected in knowledge structures. So memory is enhanced because the activation of one meaning can spread to other connected meanings and bring them to conscious awareness. Pag sinabi mo namang inferences, these are interpretations that produce knowledge or beliefs that go beyond the information given. No? Example niyan, class, yung mga consumers might infer the product of good quality because it is advertised heavily, no, on TV. Ang mga consumer insight concerns consumers, inferences about the good housekeeping seal, no, to be a part of the television program. So inferences play a large role in the construction of means and change. So by making inferences during comprehension, consumers can glean meanings about the physical attributes, no, of a product with more abstract meanings about its functional consequences and perhaps the psychosocial and value consequences of product use. Inferences also can heavily influenced by consumers' existing knowledge, no, in memory. If activated during comprehension, yung mga relevant knowledge could provide a basis for forming inferences. Kanyari, yung mga consumers would believe, no, that more expensive brands of chocolates are higher in quality than cheaper brands, no, are likely to infer, no, that they are delicious, no, or of high quality than that other chocolates will cost lesser than the expensive one. Okay. Incomplete or missing products information sometimes prompt consumers to form inferences, to fill in the blanks, based on their schemas of knowledge, acquired from past experiences. Example plus, yung mga consumer who are highly knowledgeable about clothing style may be able to infer the country of origin, even the designer of a coat or dress, by noticing few details. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, consumers often use tangible, concrete products attributes as cues, no, in making inferences about more abstract attributes, no, consequences and values. Mga familiar situations, these inferences may be made automatically, no, without much conscious awareness. Kaya siya nagkakaroon ng different interpretation. Okay. All right, we're done. Thank you so much for listening, class. But I have a synchronous activity to each one of you. I want you to answer this one. Number 1, what are the variations in comprehension? Number 2, discuss situational self-relevance. 3, what are the factors affecting environmental prominence? 4, what is intrinsic self-relevance? And number 5, discuss the factors influencing attention. Thank you for listening, class, and God bless everyone.